Hey, everybody, welcome to Those Guys from Wichita. I am Conrad. I'm the host of the show. If you listen to us typically on a weekly basis, we do a live studio show every Wednesday from 7 p.m. Central to 9 p.m. Central from our official Dick Around studios. But I've been trying to do these shows on a daily basis from Mordor Studios. So if it's not Wednesday, then it's Tuesday. And if it's Tuesday, it means you're catching me on a auxiliary show. I appreciate you stopping by and enjoying the show. Always, if you want to help out the show, you can always just subscribe, tell a friend that you listen to these idiots out of Wichita. If you were lucky enough to catch my last live stream about 9 minutes ago or 14 minutes ago, you got a minute and 42 of just beautiful content of me trying to gather my thoughts to talk to you guys. And in doing so, um, listening to World War III happening upstairs because my son and daughter were arguing over a Minecraft world that they were trying to play with their friend. And this evening has been a series of disasters when it comes to ensuring the happiness of two overly privileged children in the quest for them to have connection with some sort of friend of theirs. And that means just trying to get them hooked up in a way that they can talk over a video game, which seems you would think that's elementary at this point. You would think that the ability, the cable guy, the movie talked about online gaming 20 years ago, and yet it's not as seamless as you would think. And when you get 6-year olds, 7-year olds involved, and parents that are not necessarily as savvy, maybe they're coming from a different platform or whatever, I don't know, but it turns into long telephone calls and us sitting around pressing buttons, and the whole family's on speakerphones on both sides. And if you know me and you know my personality, when it comes to like the private life, talking on the phone isn't something that I enjoy doing. I don't do it at all. I'll talk to my dad when he calls. I'll talk to Mexico when he calls me. My wife, when she calls, I'll always answer, but not have much to say because we see each other so much. I'm just not. That's not my modality of communication. I don't need. I'm not into the sit around and chit chat thing, and so it was very. It's just anxious. I get very anxious during those kinds of things, and I kept my cool. The only reason I was willing to do it was because I desperately want my son. His one passion that he has right now is playing with 8-bit little Minecraft dudes, and I love hearing about it from him. I love him telling me the stories of it and what he's done on a daily basis and what he's wanting to do, and I'll play with him from time to time if I got a chance. But for me to be able to hook him up with a buddy that also likes it and is just as passionate, I've been wanting to do that, this during this whole little pandemic, and it all his love for this game and this thing has all come at the same time. So his buddy gets an Xbox today. They call, they want to hook it up. We get it hooked up. We find their world. They're joining worlds. They're beating the crap out of each other with their little peg leg arms. Everything's great. They can hear Jonah fine, my son, but we can't hear their son. So then it's another 30 minutes of trying to get that to work. In which case, at the end of it, it gets to be past bedtime and it's time to go to bed. And it's just like poking the dragon, man. So I came down here earlier, sat down to do this, and it's not, you got the dad voice, you got the mom voice, you got all that stuff, and really we're lucky that for the most part they those don't happen on a daily basis. Maybe probably a bi-weekly basis, if even that, where that voice has to come out. That scream, that thing you do as a dad or as a mom. But one thing I don't allow or won't allow, and it doesn't happen often, so I shouldn't do not allow when my children are screaming at my wife or myself. So did not appreciate that, and so I hit pause on the last one, went upstairs, unplugged the only reason there's a TV and a gaming thing in his room is because his basement has been in such disarray. So now that there's a place we can hook up the game and have the game room and all that stuff, I don't have to worry about it anymore. But it's been up in his room, so I went upstairs and ripped the TV out of the wall and grabbed the Xbox and told him you can't talk like that. And I don't know. I think he's just exhausted. I think it's just been one of those days. So it'll all be all right. But you hate it. You hate doing that. You hate them going to bed when they're upset. You hate everybody yelling at each other before they go to bed, and it just sucks. So especially when everybody's just trying to do the right thing and let everybody have a good time, and it turns into just a scream fest. It's not fun, and could be worse. Obviously, could be much worse. I don't know who's got it worse. Johnson and Johnson. I read a story today that they're ending the baby powder, man. I didn't know. I know Johnson and Johnson makes everything. They're one of those companies that you find out, later in life that, oh, you liked Betty Crocker? Yeah, they're owned by Johnson and Johnson, and oh, you have an AR-15? Yeah, it's a Johnson and Johnson edition. It's always you think Johnson and Johnson. It's smart. If you're gonna get into the game of owning everything in the world, you should start by baby powder. Is there anything more innocent sounding than that? You get the baby powder, bud. We'll go Johnson and Johnson baby powder. We'll parlay that into the No Tears shampoo, where I guess you can literally squirt this shampoo into your eyeball and you're gonna be fine. So go with those two. You got your No Tears shampoo, you got your baby powder, and now you're just Johnson and Johnson. And meanwhile, up at Johnson Johnson headquarters, Dick Johnson's talking to Rick Johnson, and they're like, "Hey, I'm thinking about buying a tank factory, and we're going to send some tanks over to, you know, Jordan and knock down some of the Middle Eastern towers or whatever." And okay, cool. And meanwhile, here back in the States, we're like, yeah, that's a pretty good company. They're the baby company. They're doing always get in on the ground floor as the baby company because it gives you this just sweet halo about yourself as a company that then you can do whatever nefarious stuff. It's kind of like Martha Stewart. She got into that Kmart game, which was wicked smart. I mean, one thing we should talk about that at some point. It is kind of ironic that Martha Stewart, for all of her savvy insider trading, thought that it would be smart to hitch her wagon to Kmart. You would think that if she had a crystal ball of what the market was going to do, she would have at least said, "Hey, can I put my linens at Target, not at Kmart?" And I got to tell you, as a white guy, as a middle-aged white guy, it was pretty quality shit. You get some of that Martha Stewart outdoor patio shit. That's not garbage. That's not Big Lots. That's not that shit. It was decent. I mean, she had a wicker chair that'd blow your mind. You're an outdoor adventure now, bud. You're sitting outside having a Mai Tai. You got the weird little brick fireplace deal the little ring that insert you put inside there. Got your little s'more maker going on. This ain't bad. Martha Stewart line of outdoor drinkware. This is okay. But maybe that was all a ruse. She said, "Well, if I sign up with Kmart from my fame of speaking in a monotone voice like this, today we're going to be making pineapple upside down cake. The first thing you're going to want to do is get a pineapple upside down pan. You can find it at the Martha Stewart line of baking." It's like, bitch, that might be good, but I'm not buying it. But that's perfect. She gets in with Kmart. Okay, now nobody's looking. It's kind of like when you live in a pretty rough neighborhood and you make a decent living, probably better than the people around you, but it's kind of rough where if you pull up and you have a Escalade in your driveway and you have a nice house and you start putting planters and shit out, when you go on vacation, when you post your selfie pics at the beach on vacation, you know that all the neighbors are going to be breaking into your house trying to steal your golden elephants, man. So what you do is you you blend in. That's the whole point. You got to blend in. You got to put some old bikes and shit in your driveway, put some mattresses in your yard, maybe lean a mattress up. You don't want to be trashy, but you can put plants out, but make sure they're dead. Shit like that. To where on the inside it could be a palace, but on the outside, it's kind of like having a beater car where you know that every car in this neighborhood gets stolen. So in order you spray paint it brown, you put like a wooden block where the stereo is. Meanwhile, you got a disc changer under the seat, and you have, MP3 Bluetooth capabilities, but nobody really is going to look into your car anyways. It just looks like a camouflaged Ford Escort. So nobody wants it. So you got to do that shit. It's just a means to an end. And Martha Stewart did with her career. She was making so much fucking bank cooking sheet cake that she got to make some more money. She don't want to cook sheet cake for the rest of her life. Granted, she loves to eat, but she wants to make a investment. She wants to end her career, but start making some wealth out of this deal. So she starts chit chatting with some of the high baller friends of hers. All of a sudden, yeah, she's making good money, but people are starting to turn their heads. They're starting to notice. Well, what do? Sign on with Kmart. Once you do that, oh, well, she must not know shit. That was a ruse. It could have been. I don't know. It's a couple theories. Either way, Johnson and Johnson did that with baby powder for years, and now it's over because I guess that uh, they say that this stuff caused cancer. It was contaminated with asbestos and carcinogens and whatever those are, and all kinds of shit. So I don't know. I liked having it around. It's one of those things. It's kind of like baking soda. I don't know what I know that you open up a box of it and put it in the back of your fridge, and that way you can put like tuna fish sandwiches in there for 3 or 4 weeks, and you don't have to worry about it every time you open it. You can put a human head in there, and you can open it up, and like, oh, the ketchup's it's behind the rotting flesh. If you just go, yeah, push it over, and then there's your ketchup. But you won't smell it because the baking soda. I know it does that, but I feel like you just gotta have it. If I opened up a fridge and there wasn't an open box of baking soda in it, I would close the fridge quickly and pick it up and throw it out the window. This is ridiculous. What is this thing? This is nasty. Even though I don't know really what baking soda does. So same thing with baby powder. I liked opening up the little spots that I don't know what do you guys if you have the mirror one, the mirror, it's not a pantry, like vanity that opens up. I always thought that was cool. I used to have a badass one growing up where you didn't have like a handle on the mirror. You actually had one of those slick ass deals where you pushed in on the mirror and it clicked and then it popped open to all your where you'd keep your um, hydrocodone and your Michael Jordan cologne and your Old Spice. You'd have those things hidden back there. So I was always comforted by pushing that and it'd pop open and there'd be a big ass jug of baby powder. I was never that much onto it. I think there would be like I'd go through spurts thinking that there'd be a reason that I needed to talc my undercarriage, but as I got older and more in marriage, I realized there's no sense in making this smell good because nobody's sniffing around here anyways. I mean, let's just Adam and Eve this and we'll go all natural. And I, I don't know. I think I've carved a pretty good path for myself that way. There will be days, and maybe you're like this too, where you'll get in the mood to do like a complete at home makeover of yourself where you treat your instead of just doing the normal shower for 5 minutes, knock off all the big gribblies, get out, throw on some old shorts that you've been wearing for 4 days, and go to bed. But hold on, receiving a text right now. Staying at Dad's night. Do you want to play Red Dead Redemption? It's for my brother. If he knew the odyssey that I just went on with the Red Dead Redemption. or with the stupid Minecraft. Um, where the fuck was I? Now I got lost my train of thought. Oh, complete makeover. Yeah, so there'll be those evenings where you'll go into your bathroom like instead of doing the just the main stuff, just the big stuff to get by, I'm gonna really go for it here. I'm gonna treat this like a at-home spa day, and you'll take your time in the shower. You'll actually use the different kinds of stuff your wife has in there with the exfoliating soaps, and you'll clear out your pores, and maybe you'll even trim your beard before you get in, and then clear out your pores, and use both shampoo and conditioner separately, not just the combo pack. Body wash, if you're lucky, get a rag or a loofah. You'll do it all. You'll get out, clean under your nails, trim your nails. You got everything going on. Get out. You'll. That's the times when I would do those little events. Get out. Get a nice, fresh, clean shirt. New. If I'm just lounging around, just a new pair of lounge shorts out of the drawer. Pop those on. Pop on some deodorant, some cologne, and then to top it off, get that comb over going. Boom, comb over. Choom. I'm about to Doogie Howser this shit. Comb over. And when you do that, for about 5 or 6 minutes, you do feel a lot better. And I think that's what women do it for because, women have a ritual when they shower. It's at least for my wife. Even going to bed, everything is just a process where go over there. I'm gonna wash my face. I'm gonna kind of make sure everything on my face is up to snuff, and then I'm gonna exfoliate it, and then I wash it again, and wash my hands, and brush my teeth, and floss. Then I'm gonna get my lotion out and put my lotion on, put my leg lotion on, and my arm lotion on, and by the end of it, it's 45 minutes of a thing. But they get up and they probably feel great. Whereas if you're like me and you're just a guy that kind of sucks, you just go in there and you run hot water on you. Really not even that hot because you're a pussy. Lukewarm water, and maybe you'll get the shampoo out, put the shampoo on your head, use the rest of the suds for the rest of your body, and that's it. Then you're done. And you get out and you kind of feel just as dirty and shitty as you did when you went in. So there is probably something to taking your time and getting the process down, but um, I don't really do it that often. And on the rare occasions that I would have treat myself to an at-home spa day, that would be the time that I'd pull out that Johnson and Johnson's and blow a fucking puff into your underwear. Is that how you do it? Where you I probably did it wrong. Do you pat it on? Do you put it on your hand and pat it around and pat it? Because I always thought it was stupid where you'd be putting it on your hand because you're supposed to kind of put it, in the crack, man. So you put it on your hand and it is pat up. And it always felt weird patting your own butt crack with powder. So I became more. I thought it'd be smarter to first put your underwear on and then kind of pull them down and put it in the little bridge in between your legs. Dump a bunch of puffs in there, but then you just be blowing that chalk all over the ground. And so when you finally moved, you just had a chalk outline of your feet, like somebody just murdered your feet. And this is the police sketch of it. So that's probably why I didn't do it much. It's just a huge mess. But it is sad to see this going. I guess it's not if it did cause all these, cancers, and I think it said mostly women with ovarian cancer. So I don't know if it's worth pulling it off the shelves for that. I get it if it's causing some. I mean, ovarian cancer. As far as cancers go, let's put it down there. Let's put it. It's below the pooper. It's below prostate. It's below breast. So I mean, if it's a third tier cancer, it's below leukemia for sure. Fourth tier cancer. Do we really need to? It might cause it. There's links to it. I don't know. I do know that they did want you with Jonah. They didn't ever say anything to us as far as uh, when you're changing the diaper when he was a baby. So luckily he doesn't have ovaries, and I would pull that diaper off, and after doing my best work cleaning up that boy, I'd grab that thing and just shoot it out of there, and his whole body'd be covered in that stuff. Maybe that's why he was throwing a fit tonight over Minecraft. I don't know. But with Rowan, they said no, 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 don't do that, don't do that. So, for those of you who are losing sleep that Johnson and Johnson's baby powder was still being sold, just know the talc-based baby powder has ended its sales in North America. Now overseas, it doesn't matter. I guess you don't have ovaries if you live in the Middle East, so you're still fine to just shoot it in whatever hole you got. Speaking of those who are less fortunate than us that are dealing mainly with social distancing when it comes to if we can play our next video game together. Um, Real problems. Looks like they're on the front for India and Bangladesh, bro. I don't I don't know who Bangladesh is, but they're getting ready to brace for the strongest storm ever recorded in the Bay of Bengal. Let me get a drink here. Now, if you've listened to our show for any period of time, you understand that I have a unique inability to not understand geography. Therefore, the Bay of Bengal could be in Cincinnati, right next to the Cracker Barrel, or it could be somewhere near Australia. I have no idea. All I know is somewhere by India and Bangladesh, they're bracing in that bay for the strongest storm I guess they've ever had. Now, one thing I was confused, I read the story, and I guess it's going to be hitting them within the next day or so, but they're calling this, uh, why do they got to keep making up words? Because they called it a super cyclone, which I'd never heard of. I mean, we've heard of the tornadoes, and you got hurricanes, and you got typhoons. And I think this is a typhoon, but instead of just saying a massive typhoon's coming, they call it a super cyclone. And they they had it at a category 3. I think that it's going to go down to a category 2. And I guess I don't know if that's the same deal that they do with hurricanes, if they're calling it a category 3 hurricane, but maybe it's a category 3 super cyclone and now it's a category 2. So I don't know if it means the same deal. But what I do know is what's interesting is apparently they have uh, shelters for these people to go hide in during this kind of shit that normally take 500,000 people. But because of the coronavirus deal and social distancing rules, they're saying that that number has been reduced to 200,000. So it's pretty fucked up that I get it that you have to stay a certain distance away from people, but if you're going to get hit by a super cyclone, I think that that's the point where you say, I don't know, that's a messed up deal. I don't know, and we're kind of getting to that point here in the Midwest where we're in tornado season, and once that happens, not that when a tornado happens, everybody goes to the one shelter in town. Most people in this area all have basement dwellings and stuff like that to go hide out in. But if something happened like that happened in Moore, Oklahoma, or even in this area many years ago, but a few years ago that happened in there's Joplin, Missouri, when something that comes through that rips your whole damn town out, what do you do after? Because I don't think that these pandemic rules can apply when nobody in the area has a home to live in. And then there was all those deals where people go to the local sports arena or whatever. I don't know. I don't know what they're going to do if something like that, God forbid, happens. And these people, what sucks is it's always heartbreaking going through these stories of underdeveloped countries where what they're escaping to go to the shelter, it's like, dude, how could you even if you lived in the places that they lived in these tin roof, just stick built shacks, just garbage built shacks that they have, and somebody said, "Oh, by the way, some oompa loompa, dressed up in the most Willy Wonka esque government gear, comes wandering around and saying, "Hey, by the way, you guys aren't allowed to hang out and play soccer anymore. I don't know. I would kind of look around and be like, what are you talking about? We live in dirt in tiny huts. We'll just it can't get much worse. And I know what you're saying. Yeah, it can. I mean, you guys are all at risk of dying. Like, well, I don't know. That's kind of I think we'll just play soccer. So a volunteer urges residents to evacuate shelters ahead of the expected landfall of the super cyclone in Bangladesh on May 19th. Yeah, he's wearing pajama pants and then he's got the cool bright orange vest. So, I mean, they seem to be taking him pretty seriously, but if somebody was yelling at me in a megaphone and I about we got to take precautions and I just look around and be like, are you kidding? Look at my house. That's also his house. We live in the same it's also that person's. They're just like a row of homeless shelters is basically what it looks like. So it sucks, man. I wish that it gives you perspective, that's for sure. Living here and being able to do even sitting here complaining about my kid not being able to play Minecraft with his friend and that kind of stuff live. I'm talking to you live as this happens, and I'm looking at pictures of people that if I took this laptop over there, they would, put a ceremony around it and start calling it a god. It's just that's now. That's that now for them. This isn't like we're looking at a picture from 64 years ago. No, that's now. That's happening, and we're all wondering, I haven't got my stimulus check yet, and then if I get it, maybe I'll buy a TV or perspective, people. Keep perspective. So, I think I had a note. I tried to watch something with the wife last night. Sometimes I'll get into these moods. I'm sure you've done it before too, especially with the amount of streaming services that are available where like with my phone I get Hulu. With my wife's phone I get the Disney Plus. With Amazon you get the Prime. With um I got the Netflix with my sister and then I think the HBO as like a free trial right now for a month. I think that's all I got. Maybe there's stars on there for some reason. But you get all these different platforms and now it's become there's a lot of great shows. I like a lot of shows that are on there, but I used to when I had just regular cable, over the air cable, you'd find yourself channel surf. I would do that for I'd get home at 8 p.m., from work. I'd get my crappy shower in and then lay in bed and flip until 10:30 or 11 and I haven't watched anything yet. Now you'll be on your phone looking at stuff and then go back, okay, what am I going to watch? And maybe you'd select something, look at your phone, wait 10 minutes, go, I'm not even paying attention, then start surfing again. Now I do that with these streaming services. And last night was one of the worst nights I had with it where I got in bed at relatively late for just to start laying down 10:30 or so and lay down, start flipping through the channels or the services and then going through the programs on there and then get on my phone and start looking at shit that's for sale on or then I'll get an idea. Oh, what is that? What is that idea I had? And then start searching that and then go back to then I look up at the TV. I'm not even watching. So I tried to get into I turned on this UFO documentary because I thought it would be interesting to, and I did write it down. Maybe I'll bring it up on Wednesday's show with the whole crew there. I just thought it'd be interesting to break down this documentary about it caught my attention because the trailer for it included a lot of presidents, including some of the badass ones like Dwight Eisenhower and of course JFK and Lyndon Johnson and all these different dudes. And I thought that the documentary is going to have more I guess private conversations that they were having about UFOs. And to me that's funny because especially with some of the like Lyndon Johnson or something where he'd be talking about the length of his pants and then somebody'd ask him a UFO question and him trying to segue into that it's hilarity. So unfortunately, this documentary was much more like there's 3 or 4 ultra nerds who have been wanting aliens, and they do a lot of this kind of stuff in the UFO thing where they're trying to connect dots that aren't there. So they'll say Dwight Eisenhower unexpectedly he left on February 27th, and didn't even show his face till 2 days later. And weirdly enough, that was the same time that this Air Force base was shut down on February 27th. And well, okay, I mean, I get, and they're like it's actually like 2 hours away from where he said that he ultimately went. Okay, it's still a long stretch, but their whole point was maybe he had this secret meeting, not with people who had made contact with a UFO or sighted one, but with aliens. They thought that he had actually had a contract drawn up with aliens about certain things. And you can't push it. You can't push the limits like that. It's easy to get in the conspiracy deal where you just say, hey, there was for some reason Lyndon Johnson or Eisenhower went on a quail hunting trip for 5 days. And when he got back, he decided to go to somewhere in California and then go to Roswell, New Mexico from there or some shit. You can do that. And then there he saw a UFO that they had found. But to say what we think happened is he had a secret meeting with aliens where they signed some sort of global or universal contract about things that we have to keep secret in order to get technologies from them. So, come on, bud. If you're gonna make up a story, just make it up better. You don't have to just say you met aliens and made some sort of contract so we could get microchips to make computers. That's stupid. It's a stupid thing. We all know who made computers. We learned that from Reggie White years ago when he told us the Japanese or the Chinese, they're very good at making computers. They can put a TV in your watch. So that's that's them. That's the aliens you're talking about. It's not actual out of the world aliens. Let's talk about his quail hunting. Could you imagine now if if Trump or Obama had went on a 5-day quail hunting trip? Oh, that's fine. That's completely normal.
President Trump has just got back from his quail hunting trip, and now he's off to meet with the aliens.
All right. I guess it wouldn't be that out of the ordinary to see that headline nowadays. But in a UFO documentary, you can do whatever you want to do. You don't have to because there's no proof of what you're saying. The fact that you're even doing it in a documentary is laughable because obviously there's no proof that aliens exist other than you then connecting the dots as the person that's trying to convince us. But the cool thing is most of us already think that they do, and most of us already think that we've seen UFOs and all that stuff. So just make it believable. Do something like that, but they can't. I was trying to tell my wife too. I was like, the reason I'm interested, I was trying to show her that one that was released recently, the Navy pilots with the unidentified flying object that was just released from the Pentagon a few weeks ago, but I think it's 4 or 5 months ago now that this was actually taken. And I clicked on the video, and I get it that yes, it looks like an alien spacecraft. But it also just looks like a black cloud. I mean, it's not that convincing watching it on a cracked iPhone screen at 11:30 at night. Like, babe, let me prove to you that aliens do exist. And here, oh, it's under the crack. Hold on a second. Oh, there it is. That smudge right there. See how they're keeping in the crosshairs? Yep. See, they do exist. See, it's you can't do it. And I don't know if anybody. My wife's such a skeptic on that stuff. It would take a cone head to come down here and suck on a spark plug for her to realize that aliens exist. So I'm as if you have listened to us for any period of time, I don't know. I told her that I tend to believe that it's all a work anyways. Everything is. I mean, we're just Truman showing what we're doing right now. So if there was a secret meeting between a president and overlord, it was him making sure that the programming of the human race is going as planned. And you know, there's somebody upstairs watching us with their TV clicker going, okay, let's see what's going on in United States today, and then we're going to click over to the middle. Oh, super cyclone coming up in 2 days. I'll tune in for that. I'll TiVo that, and then back to us. So I like to think of it more like that. If there is an an outer being, that we're just living here on the flat Earth under a big, you know, under the dome, and somebody else is pulling the strings up there. Now we're still living within our conscious and going about life the way that we think we are, but we're getting pushed and pulled in whatever direction the producers upstairs want us to go. So I guess that's ultimately how all of it works, even if you're into, um, you know, the Bible or whatever religion that you go into. It's kind of, you're put it in the hands of a higher power, that the path is there and you're just trying to find it. So is it any different to just think of, rather than thinking of it as a god, just to think of it as a TV producer that's producing us as a TV station, and we're just following along as little actors, as little extras to this gigantic thing. So didn't mean to get so out there on that, but that's probably why my wife fell asleep. I'm sure you are too. So anyways, thanks for listening, everybody. Oh, my wife is on here and she's commenting. Doctors don't recommend using baby powder right now because it can adversely affect the baby's lungs. Well, yeah, I said that. I said that I don't think that doctors are recommending it, but that's unfortunate. That stuff seemed to work on the rashes better than anything else. Nothing worse than rubbing. Nothing worse than rubbing the cream. It's always better to shoot the powder onto a baby's butt. When you have to get out the rash cream, ah, no. That's why baby powder was so great. You could just blow the powder on there and be done with it. When you get the cream out and you got to rub it on a baby's butt, nothing's fun about that. So, anyways, thanks for listening, everybody. If you haven't listened before, we do a full live show every Wednesday, 7 p.m. Central to 9 p.m. Central. All you have to do is follow us here on Podbean, or if you have any of the other social medias, we're there as Those Guys from Wichita. So find us there. We stream video live on Facebook and YouTube Live. So if you just want to follow us in those places, you can listen to our whole catalog through any of the podcast outlets, iTunes, and all that stuff. And if you want to support the show, just go to patreon.com/Those Guys from Wichita and subscribe. And you'll get over 500 episodes of back catalog, plus bonus episodes every month, just for our Patreon subscribers. So it always helps. I think it's as little as $2.99 a month. So, whatever that costs you, a cup of coffee, I guess is what people say. So you can do that, and that helps us out tremendously. Either way, thanks for listening, everybody, and don't let your meat loaf.